24th, 2026. I just got off the phone with Jen, my daughter-in-law. Said Rick said something in court that you said if he does something that you're going to do this, you're going to do that. How would he know that, Karen? I said, because he's having that Henry Mavi stalk me. I said, and he said that you both got into it in September. I said, John, the only thing I've ever said to Rick on the phone, I answered the phone and I said, hello, hello, who is this? Where's my father? Click. That's all I've ever said to him. She said, where is he getting this at? I said, Henry Mavi is breaking in places. Dave's girlfriend's dad. Where I said, I started going through stuff. I said, do you remember years ago when $5,000-$6,000 disappeared from the safe? Yes. I said, do you remember where we had the attempt to break in? Danny had to come over and board up our windows till we got glass locked? Yeah. Do you remember when he got caught with pot in the system, got suspended? Yes. I said, he made a mistake with the Perry police when we had the attempt to break in. They knew where the security system was. And then started going through like the follower and branding. It was linked back to Pam's daughter's Facebook friend. And how it's Katie's family. And I said the Louisville police said they found the original case. Dave hired 2 men in on his own. I said, do you remember when they kicked in my door the wall when we got new locks and everything? Yeah. I said, he hired those men to kick in the door when we were out. Set up button camera stalking me. He's the one, it was his girlfriend's dad and his friends to run a drug scam on me. I said, it's sick. Where you didn't know about the shower scene in the other room? Yeah. And I said, he's supposed to have them Photoshop that. And I said, they admitted last year that they used hypnotic drugs on me and drugged me and told me to say it. They were hiding in rooms, and as I walked by, they'd reach out and stab me. And I said, I thought I got stung by a bee once. And I said, those things shut down your conscience for 4 to 6 hours. I said, remember the real bad metal taste in my mouth? Yeah. I was complaining I couldn't get it out. I said, I thought the well water was killing me. I said, I had orange, lemon, grapefruit-sized bruises, throwing up, almost passing out. I never seen her talk to anybody. And I said, it's really sick that because he was dating an 18-year-old drug addict whore, having her dad and his friends sneak in my home and reach out and stab me with those drugs. They cause a metal taste in your mouth, no memory. They shut down your conscious for 4 to 6 hours. There's dangers with them. They're like the perfect date rape drug. You're sleepwalking. You can eat, you can drink, you can drive a car, you can have sex. You'll never remember. You can drug somebody up and tell them to say stuff, and they never form a complete memory because you're sleepwalking. I said they're supposed to have done it to a U.S. Marshals kid that I met twice. She moved out of the area for safety. My coworker, Dar, remember I told you she was taken and raped? My neighbor, Mike, didn't know how he got home. Came up to me, was confused. Didn't know how he got out of the bar. Tried to tell me he was a New York cop and thought I was pretty and asked me to go cuddle. I said he was stoned out of his mind. I said, Audrey, Carl's daughter. Said she's seen on a news thing that drug cartels load up syringes. They go to big raves, big party, walk around stabbing the kids they want to sell or grab. And so that they don't scream, and they leave with them willingly. And I said, you don't remember anything. And I said, those big orange, lemon, grapefruit sized bruises where I had that dog bite last year. I said, I had a CAT scan on my stomach. The doctor said there was extreme large pouching of my intestines. And it could only be caused by being repeatedly beat in your stomach. They almost ruptured my intestines. I said, Dave letting those animals drug me up and tell me to say stuff and beat on me like that, and I never seen her talk to anybody, is sick and satanic, and I wish that agent would have shot him. Going in there, I said, they thought they could scam a federal agent. I said, these people have raked. They would, where I said, after some guy threatened to knife me in Giant Eagle, and Dave held me down, how I was going to die for his girlfriend later on. He tried to claim it was a vivid dream. I said it was no vivid dream. He was awake and it was sick what he did. I said I was complaining to my sister Pam, and she's telling me call the FBI, where Katie would, at Lighthouse, was telling people her church was trying to have me killed, where I was followed and rented. The attempt to kidnap me in front of Terry, the attempt to break in it, all that stuff was them. And the attempt at carjacking where Dave took off and left me, it was all them. I said, I called the hotline. I said, the investigators showed up April 19th, 25 in Hartville. How dumb are these people trying this? When she called the hotline, they immediately walked into an FBI office and admitted that they were illegally monitoring me on their own. She said, Karen, that's really dumb. I said, I know it is. And how nobody ever fell for the dirty doctor scam, taping you unaware, confessing their crimes, sat on it till Dave wanted a divorce. I went over the HIPAA laws, how everything would put them in jail. And it came out last week where that Henry Mavi admitted that he never met me in person. He was the one telling people he was a doctor from before. I said it was just Dave's girlfriend's dad, impersonating one, running the stupidest scam. And they said, and you could tell she was drugged, and then parts of it sounded mechanical, and we knew it was all them and not her. And I said, in that tape of Weird With Yourself you didn't know about, the shower scene in the other room, they knew it was Photoshopped. And that they had told Agent John to go up to that church and act like these dumb people and act as dumb as they are. Find out who's all involved. I said, I was told the whole time it was only supposed to be an act. I said, because they told him they had sodium pentothal reports. They were drugging me to get the truth out of me. And they wanted to know where they were getting their drugs. And I said, Chief Bruce Zawinski went on the news that there's people being imposters up there. And they're impersonating him. They're impersonating other officers up there, and including federal agents. They're sending out emails from them, arrest warrants, quarters, and they've been trying to scam all kinds of people out of money up there. They got 18 grand from some person. They have threatened to swarm people's homes, arrest them, all kinds of stuff. I said, it's a shame. It's beautiful up there. And there's a big drug cartel up there running scams on the people up there. And I told her about Anita and Pam right before the case started, that Mary's niece, which is Katie's mom, is Mary. And then Mary's niece, Michelle, was willing to kill someone just to date Dave, and just the opportunity to date Dave. Dave was excited. He never had anybody willing to kill someone just to date him. And that poor family was in debt. They needed Dave's help. We get out in the car. What they talk about? Oh, they weren't talking about me. I said, yes, they were. That's where that girl showed up at Faith Family Church. Said, I'm the one that dates Dave. I'm the one that dates her husband. And I can have anybody drug, beat, and raped. I'm above the law. Tried to tell everybody she was retired Judge Pete's daughter, friends with Ludick, letting him get away with crimes. Ludick didn't know him. The sheriff's never heard of a retired Judge Pete from up there, or the Ravenna police, or anybody else, because he's made up. And I said, that's where I confronted Dixie on Thanksgiving. You know, that Michelle Dave was dating while we were married. Yeah, and that retired Judge Pete, you know, the whole thing was a scam. That's why she left. You're kidding. The whole thing was a scam. And I said, these people, what is not funny, at Faith Family Church, she was seen with people that said they worked for Judge Peters, and they were Florida, and they were drug dealers. That they had mind controlling drugs. They could control anybody for 4 to 6 hours in front of the sheriffs, in front of the police, in front of the FBI. And I said, that's how the FBI found out about Judge Peters in Florida. And I said, that human trafficker got arrested. And I said, that's where I told you Dave's girlfriend was connected to a lot of really bad people. Really bad people. And I said, these people and that they walked into that FBI office and offered to a bribe to a federal agent. She said, Karen, that's crazy. And I said, I know it is. And then they tried to tell me they had sodium pentothal reports. They were drugging me to get the truth out of me. And all this other stuff. And they wanted their drug connections. And I said, they got them. Now these people are saying how they're blackmailing that agent, where he was supposed to be acting like he was going along with it, and that they want the surveillance thrown out and those drug dealers released. She said, she said, Karen, that's crazy. It's not going to happen. I said, I know. They want the anger from the FBI and the federal government upon them. I said, but you know what's not funny? She said, how did Rick know? He said something in court. If he does something to you guys got into it with him in September. I said, Jen, I only answered the phone. Hello? Hello, who is this? Where's my father? Click. I've never said anything. She said, that's not what he said. I said, I don't care what he said. I said, Carl and him got into it, though. He called up Carl and demanded his farm. He said, you're not getting it. I'm not dead yet. He said, he threatened, he told him, he said, if I have to kill you to take it, I will. I'll at least bash your head and kidnap you, have you taken out to Youngstown, have an attorney find you incompetent, thrown in a nursing home. I'll have your wife's skull bashed in, and we don't know what we'll do with her body. And I'll steal everything from both of you. He said, don't you threaten my life, and don't you threaten my wife's life. And he said, and I never want to see you ever again. I said, he came home from the farm, and he was telling me, and he was stomping around the house. He went into his closet, got out this bin of pictures, sat on the floor, and started ripping them up. I'm like, Carl, what are you doing? He's no son of mine, and I never want to see him again. Him threatening my life and yours over that farm. How dare he? I said, Carl and him got into it. Well, that's not what Rick said. And he said that if he does something to you, you'll do something. I said, I never said that. Now, the only thing I've ever said around the house and to them, I mean to Danny and Jen, if they ever find out where we live, they start harassing us. We have all those cash checks from his second wife's kids that bullied him all out of that money. They signed them, and they bullied him out of it. They never paid him back. We can take him to small claims court for each and every check. And the courts will make him pay it back. But the only thing that stops us right now from going after him for that money is I don't want them to have her address, so Carl is safe. I said, but that Henry Moffey, where he showed up, and he was yelling that crap up in Bob Evans and Fairlawn, Carl seen him. I said, he showed up in Summit Mall yelling crap at me again. How he's having some man watch me and Carl. He was making comments where they kicked in my door and they were supposed to set up on cameras up there, that he acts like he has some in my apartment, and it's not funny. And I said, there's times I come home from working all night, I'm tired and I'm sick to my stomach. I said, the living room, because of the heavy curtains we have, it's darker. So sometimes I can sleep better out there because it's darker and I can stay popped up because I don't feel good. It's nobody's business. I'm tired. I worked and I just need to sleep. And he said something about me sleeping on the couch. How do you know that? He said something about he was mad that we spent all that money on the furniture in the basement. We haven't been using the basement yet. He was mad. And he was going to get all that money out of me that I spent on us. What I spent on us and for me and Carl is none of Henry Moffey's business. Learn to mind your own damn business. And how he was telling that he's given some guy somebody's patient portal. You pull anybody's medical records, you better not. That's a federal crime. I said, but that guy admitted to him that he'd seen me in my apartment in different parts of it, knew where we were and where I was staying and all kinds of stuff. That's how not funny it is that he's restalking me and it's just Dave's girlfriend's dad. She said, why don't they give it up and leave you alone? I said, they announced that they did all this to run a scam on the government, that they would go in and they thought they could offer an agent a bribe and take him taking a bribe. I said, Strange hated the government. He'd be weird. The government's evil. They'll take your kids. They'll brainwash them. The government's evil. You have to hide your guns and pipes in the backyard and bury them. They'll come in and take them. I said, he hated the government. And where Tim and Katie, that's his side girlfriend. They've always cheated. And it's her family. That Michelle, Mary's her mom. Anita's her aunt. Pam Strange's niece. And that Henry Moffey is supposed to be Michelle's dad. If you put different dates and times. And it's just Katie's family member where Dave said, Katie said they were trying to kill me for her. It was for her family. I said, if Dave wanted to go off some drug addict whore, he didn't have to have them hurt me. And the thought he was having his girlfriend's dad and his drug friends hide in my home and I'd walk by and they inject me, then drug me up and tell me to say stuff and beat on me like that. I had giant bruises everywhere. I said, you see them? I know I did. I said, I thought it was from the well water. I thought I was getting cancer because it was dirty. It was toxic. Going to the doctor for real injuries. And I said, here, they almost ruptured my intestines beating on me. There is no sense in this. Drugging me up and telling me to say horrible stuff I found out. I never seen or talked to him. And him and letting those men harm me and play with me like that. And Photoshop that shower scene and have him stalk me. I said, that agent should have shot him. But she said, Rick told that judge, if I try anything with them, she's already said, we all got into it and she's going to do this, she's going to do that. Do what? Only said, hello, who is this? I said, the only way he would know, I said, because where I talked to Desi and Audrey, his daughters. You hear any threats, I need a notarized statement so I can turn it into the police. Any knowledge, any witnesses. Any threats of him threatening to kill Carl. So Carl hasn't talked to him since he threatened to kill him. Refused to answer his phone calls. That's when the 30 phone calls and all this other crazy stuff. I said, that Henry Moffey's breaking. He's got men watching me. She said, he hasn't told Rick where you're at yet. She said, I can guarantee that one. See, I told Carl the only reason why we're not going after his second wife's kids for all that money, I don't want him to have her address. His oldest stepdaughter that sexually assaulted him in the courthouse September 10th, 25, under police surveillance. After the court hearing, walk up and start French kissing Carl. She's 6 foot, 300 pounds. Smells, felt like a man. It was like a man molesting my husband. All over me. And he's like this. Froze. He's 5'3", 145 pounds. 5'3". 6 foot woman that's built like a man, 350 pounds. Hair cut off, no teeth, and smells. All over my husband in the courthouse. It's disgusting. I'm like, Carl. And she's like, all over his mouth. And I'm like, Carl. And he's like this, froze as she's sexually assaulting him in the courthouse. And then rubs his chest. How'd you like that? And I'm like, Carl. She gave him thrush. He was in the hospital in 3 days. She's dirty. Heavy smoker. He's a diabetic and doesn't have much of an immune system. His whole throat and mouth was all swelled up. They asked him, how would you get it? And we told him what we thought. He said, I can't say 100%, but there's a good 95% chance she got it from her. Because you're not been on antibiotics. You don't use an inhaler. And there would be no other way besides contact. Carl had to be on medication for 2 weeks. I didn't know he had thrush, and I picked up his ice water, and where the straw hit my tongue, just right where it hit my tongue, I got it a couple of days later. And mine was located just where the straw was. She's dirty and nasty. She needs to go to jail for sexually assaulting my husband. I told Deputy Cox in Tuscarawas County. She said, that's not okay. She did that. I said, I know it's not. Carl's like, she gave me thrush. I had to be on medication for 2 weeks. She said she should have been arrested on the spot. That family is already under investigation for stalking and harassing you. They took all that money from you. They're the ones harassing and stalking you. You're not doing a thing to them. You're leaving them alone. They took your money and they're the ones harassing and stalking you. And your son is threatening to kill you to other people to steal your farm and your things. And he's we've got him for stalking and harassment. But that's only a fine and a restraining order. And people like Rick don't listen to it. And he's got all these other people involved. She looked at me and said, take your husband and run. Get him out of here. We got home. Things were moved in the mobile home again, where he'd been bragged voicemails he was breaking in. Opened the refrigerator and the cap was off the milk. We dumped out everything that was open. We were out of that mobile home in 3 days. Agent John, I have sat in 4 notarized statements from Carl, his daughter Audrey, his daughter Desi, her friend, all of Rick threatening to kill Carl. He's 80 years old. He's a retired vet. He deserves to live his life in peace and happiness, what he has left. Elderly abuse is a severe crime. Me and Carl do need new names and new socials. With Henry Mavi breaking, he has this apartment bugged. We need a safer home. I'd like my money I earned from working this case. And I need a medical card for both of us. The life of peace you promised, I have fought for it for 7.5 years. 7.5 years. I need this. I'm already in the witness protection program. Carl probably needs to be there too. And we need moved. And you need to take care of Henry Moffey, Dave's ex-girlfriend Michelle, and the rest of them involved. And that guy Pete, too, that he's supposed to hire. The Louisville police said they found the original case. Said that Dave hired 2 men on his own. One was saying he was an attorney, it made him illegal. And no, it don't. It makes it worse illegal. See, I went over with John how illegal it is for an attorney to be in your home. How big are crimes? The right to privacy, then HIPAA. And how stupid their scam is. But for Rick to know anything I say, Henry Moffey has to be telling him. I told John that Danny needs to go off on his dad. He needs to go off on him. He needs to tell him, I found out about that girl Michelle you were dating when you were married to Mom. And where they kicked in the door that you hired those 2 men to do it. That they were drugging Mom up and stabbing her with those drugs. I'm not going to get into it with you. And I don't want to hear about your fake dirty doctor either. And they've already confessed to that. And you having those men, that Michelle, her dad, Henry Moffey, or whatever his name is, having Mom's new husband, he's 80 years old, have his son terrorize him out of his farm and threaten his life. And then how he bought that farm trying to save it so Carl could go down and enjoy it. And now that Rick's trying to steal money from him. That your ex-girlfriend and her dad's trying to even steal money from him. And you're still having Mom stalked and harassed. He needs to go off on him. I told Jenna about Chief Bruce Zawinski going on the news. That there's people, imposters of him, his deputies, federal agents, sending out fake emails from them, fake court orders, fake arrest warrants. Imposters trying to steal money from people, running cons on them. And I told her how those people admitted to using the hypnotic drugs that cause sleepwalking, the metal taste in my mouth that I couldn't get rid of. I remember that. All those bruises you seen all over me, they almost ruptured my intestines. And it was Dave's girlfriend's dad, that Henry Moffey. He's bragging. Dave hired 2 men on his own. One was supposed to be that Henry Moffey and some guy named Pete. The way people are talking. And having those men beat me like that under drugs, thinking they're a smart ass, and thought they could take it and con a federal agent. She's like, how stupid are they? I said, how stupid are they? They have been pregnant. They gave him a bribe to let them harm me. She said, how dumb are they? I said, that's what the lady investigator said. I said, and they've been trying to blackmail that agent, and they're trying to get his case thrown out. And where they got like Judge Peters, that actual human trafficker that was involved, and those drug dealers that were here at Lee Family Church with his girlfriend, seen with him in front of 3,000 people. They want him released. I said, this whole thing is a big mess. Agent John, I've lived through hell helping the FBI. I was only supposed to get you information on Dave and the churches. I already told you who was behind it. If you put the times and dates together. Last Friday, I was in Walmart West House. There was some guy in there saying how he didn't find it funny when an agent showed up and told him that that family that was running around town, people offended him, that minister called her a faker, that they were lying so people would help out. And I realized for Karen not to talk to that girl for 15 years, and Dave said he never caught him with anyone. Karen never threatened that Katie. And with her always dating Tim, it'd be ridiculous to her to thought that Dave would ever date her. In Karen's mind, though, with her already dating Tim, the thought of her dating Dave too is ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Huh? She never threatened her. No, I didn't. I haven't talked to her in 15 years. Told you David and I avoided her like the plague because she cheats with Tim, my brother-in-law. My sister Linda doesn't have enough guts to confront him. So we avoided that family. And after she made up a bunch of lies on Dave that he was dating her, and I told you he ended up quitting his church, we avoided her like the plague. Told you the last thing I probably said to her if she walked by in the mall before 2011, about that time, before he quit his church. She said hi, I probably said hi back. We walked on the other side of the kiosk. We didn't say anything when we passed the store she worked in. We didn't shop there. We wanted nothing to do with that family. And we really didn't. She was just lying. Told you it's the case of the dumb people that lied. But me and Carl need out of here. We need a safer place to live. He's 80 years old. A retired vet that went into North Korea on dangerous missions got in contact with Agent Orange. Left him a diabetic. He had thyroid cancer, had to have it removed. He's got health issues. I keep a track of his diet. His doctor, VA doctor, said I can tell you really get after him. His blood work, he's getting healthier and healthier and healthier. I said, boy, do I. And he said, she told me that one banana equals the same amount of sugar as a candy bar. He said it does. I said he's not allowed to have all that fruit on his cereal anymore. He can have a banana or he can have blueberries. He can't have them both. He's not allowed. He can have peanut butter toast. He can have anything else for breakfast, but he can't have a lot of fruit. He's a diabetic, caused by the Agent Orange, because he went into North Korea. Some guy got in a lot of trouble. He was too scared to go there, so Carl went. He went on a lot of dangerous missions. And within a few years, he had all these health problems. And he suffers serving our country. In the last few years he's on this earth, he deserves to live in no fear. Around people that love him and enjoy his life. You know that Rick told that judge that he got a hold of an attorney and they activated adult protective services against that thing he married. They never got a hold of me. I said, I can meet that. I activated the sheriff's. My grandson started laughing. I said, I took all those notarized statements of all those threats and people knew of those threats and I sent them to the sheriff's. Every time I hear of somebody knowing anything, I want a notarized statement and I send it to the sheriff's. Elderly abuse is a severe crime. And I said, I never got into it with Rick. That's not what he told the judge. I said, I don't care what he told the judge. Carl and him got into it when he threatened to kill him and me. And Carl told him he never wanted to speak to him again. And she said, Karen, how is he finding out what you say? I said, that Henry Moffey, that Carl seen, is breaking. He's having me stalked again like Dave had him do it in Ravenna. I've let the police know. See, that's where she said, well, he said you do da 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 da. And I said, what was I supposed to have done? I said, really? I said, because when she said, is some of the other girls telling? I said, I tell the girls I want to know anything you ever hear as far as threats or attempts. Then I need it documented and I'll turn it to the police so they can eventually take care of this. I said, I got to talking to Carl. I said, the only thing that stops us from going after the money from where his second wife's kids took over 60 grand and cancel checks. I've already turned that into shares and where they cashed them to take them to small claims court for each and every check and make them pay Carl back the money they took by threatening him and beating on him. We got proof of the cash checks. We need to go after him for every cash check. They need to pay him back. They can't just take his money. What? Deb needs to go to jail for sexually assaulting Carl, too. She should never get away with that. And to find out that was a practice from her reprobate dead mother, that anytime Carl didn't do what they wanted or they got angry, have him beat him. He's a little 5'3" man. He's tiny. He's my size. And then have Deb sexually assault him and warn him to stay quiet. He's been beaten by those people. He's been sexually abused. And they won't get their hands on him. And Agent John, I need to make sure. See, that's where I wanted to move so far away from here. So I wouldn't have to worry about them killing my husband. And with him, Dave's ex-girlfriend, Michelle, and her dad, that Henry Moffey, they call him Will, too. Huh? Thinking he could steal from the elderly now and run scams on them? We need a safer place. I told you that Henry Moffey was screaming in the mall. Well, it's not been 2 weeks since Summit Mall. I'd have to go back through my notes for the exact day. How he's having that guy watch me. How he knew when I got home from work, I don't feel good. And if I don't feel good, it's darker, it's quieter. I can stay popped up. Sometimes I can curl up on the couch and go to sleep. I'm tired. It's none of your damn business where I sleep. And how he was mad I put furniture in the basement when he found out we weren't using it. How did he know we weren't using it yet? See, that's where he's breaking his having that guy watch me. He's stalking me again. And how he's going to steal everything from me and Carl and give it to his kids. He's not going to give it to his kids. He's going to put it in his own dirty pocket. It's extortion. You have these people nailed, Agent John. Officer Mark, Officer John, I need help. And I know you know what's going on. You guys have worked my case since 18. Some of the Stark County Sheriffs, some of the North Canton Jackson Police, some of the Canton Police, Massillon Police, the FBI case. Protected Custody Witness Protection Program. Some guy walked by me today and said that idiot thinking that he can pull something on somebody in a witness protection program. Are you kidding me? Yeah. They told these people years ago, you're messing with the wrong person, the police watcher. And they got these people nailed for the scam. One of you guys, I need help. And I need help with Carl. I need a safer place. The FBI or the police needs to scan it for any electronic device. And then when me and Carl out, come back in and rescan it. So that Henry Moffey is Dave's girlfriend's dad. You put the dates together. September 30th, 25, 1 o'clock in the morning. January 19th, 26. That's father and daughter. And then you go to what Pam and Anita were talking, how it's Mary's niece, Michelle, her family in debt. Needs Dave help. The poor family. You go to Faith Family Church, the one that showed up with the Florida Drug Cartel, Judge Peters' group. Then even Dixie knew her. I'm going to upload this.